Hey, what's Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Neek, and you're tuned in to Neek at Night. And tonight we're going to be talking about Sha'Carri Richardson and this whole Olympic situation. Now, I don't have too many thoughts on the situation, but I do have a night owl who wants to share thoughts of his perspective that he has come up with about this. Now, as you guys know, Sha'Carri Richardson, she was one of the fastest for the American team, and she had been breaking phenomenal records, and a lot of people anticipated to see her in the Olympics. Well, news broke out that she failed the drug test, and that put her on a suspension for a month from the Olympics. Now, with this suspension, she was still able to go as far as on the relay race if she was chosen. Now, there had already been a team, from my knowledge, that was chosen for the relay race. So, in order for her to be able to compete in the relay race, they would have had to take away the slot from somebody who did not break any rules, who was already anticipated to go, to make a spot for her and take them off. And, they hadn't done anything to give her a chance. Well, it turns out that the roster was submitted and she was not selected to go on, and they kept the team that they had and business kept running. Now, I gave my opinion on my Instagram, and basically I feel as though a lot of people kept saying that because weed is legal in a couple of states, that it should not be something that hinders her from competing, blase. Now, my point of view, I basically felt as though people have to look at this as the bigger grand scheme of thing. This isn't just an American Olympics. This is a worldwide Olympics. So in the worldwide Olympics, this is a collective of countries around the entire globe and rules that the entire globe have to abide by. This isn't just America's rules. This isn't just Africa, Jamaica, or, Europe or wherever. Like, this is the collective around the entire globe, Tokyo, all of them, that they all have to follow. So for one person who is a good runner, is that one person above rules that everybody else around the globe followed? I didn't think so. But my night owl had an interesting analysis about the trans woman who is now able to compete versus Sha'Carri's disqualification and her being able to compete. So, I was like, well, you have an interesting perspective, and I will allow you to share your thoughts on the matter. So I'm going to bring Art up, and Art's going to share his perspective on how he feels about this whole situation.
You guys doing? Yeah, I saw a post by Neek about how she felt that if you break the rules, you're accountable, and I thought about it a lot, and I agree with what she had to say. And today, as you know, Sha'Carri came out and they said that she won't be able to compete at all. She's going to completely miss the Olympics, which I think is unfortunate. I mean, I was one of the ones that was looking forward to seeing her compete and seeing how well she will do with the rest of the world. And to see that one little mistake is keeping her from being able to represent her country, prove herself with the best of her abilities, which she's been training years to be able to do. And now she can't do it because of something as marijuana, which of course is legal in her state and legal in most states, and doesn't really affect how you perform performance wise as an enhancement or stimulant. And now that she's completely banned, she's going to completely miss it because she won't take a spot from somebody that's been training on the relay team. She's taking the L. Fortunately, she's not losing any of her sponsorships. Nike is standing by her. They like her honesty, and she's being accountable, which is fantastic. But it's also a shame that she's going to miss on everything else, the experience, the endorsements, just competing, just being there. And it led me to think of, if that's the way we're going to stand, because a lot of people are like, well, it should be okay. We should just look away. We should just excuse it. It's a simple mistake. She lost her mom. Everything else to make it okay for what she did. She said she was wrong. She's owning up to it. I respect her, and it makes me want to look out for her and make sure that I want to see her when she comes back in 4 years. And which brings me to what else has been going on with the Olympics with Laurel Hubbard from New Zealand, who's a trans woman, and she's competing in the weightlifting. And I found it ironic that we got to hold her to this. We got to hold her accountable to not just America, but we also got to do it for the rest of the world, which doesn't make it okay why we should just look the other way. She's accountable because the rest of the world says you can't smoke weed. It's against the rules, whatever. You can't take anything inside your body that could give you an edge. Yet, in another sport with another country that's representing their country, that's part of the World Games, she has to take estrogen. She has to take hormones so that she can be classified as a woman. She still has at least 8% of what men produce, testosterone. You can't get rid of that. You're naturally born a male. You can't get rid of that. So you're still always going to have a slight edge. And I don't think that's fair. It has nothing to do with her saying that she's a woman. This is the way I feel. This is what we're talking about, the rules. She smoked weed. It was found in her system. She can't compete. But then you have another athlete from another country that has to take something into her body for her to be what she claims to be, and yet she can compete. I don't see how that's fair. I don't see how that's even right. It has nothing to do with them being, well, she's not a woman, she is a woman, whatever. It has nothing to do with that. It's either it's fair or it's not for everybody, because that's what you're saying. She can't compete. She can't run because it's not fair to the rest of the world. Okay, then that should be true to everybody, because we're talking the Olympic Games where centimeters, millimeters, seconds, split seconds, fractions of a second, all will determine if you're going to medal or not. So I think the debate is good. I don't necessarily think everything is black and white, but if we're going to say this is black and white, then it's got to be all the way around.
All right, so I'm gonna butt in 1 second, because people in the comments, I want this to be your thoughts and you to get your thoughts out, but people in the comments seem to not understand what you're saying, because somebody commented and they said it's not enhancing. It's not enhancing. Where do you people come from? So that's not really his argument. If you guys listen to his argument or his interesting perspective, he understands that weed does not enhance your running. Obviously, I think that all of us get that. I think that he understands that it does not enhance. However, the rules that he's talking about, I'm muting you for a second, Art, because I hear a lot of feedback. What he's saying is the rules are you can't take anything into your system. You can't take anything into your system to enhance or anything. You can't take weed, you can't take steroids, you can't take any of these things into your system or whatever. So his perspective was, okay, so you're making this statement that you can't take these things into your system and you can't compete because of this, when weed does not hinder you from or make you run faster. But then you have someone who was naturally born male who has to take something in order to be able to compete, but still has an edge over natural born women. I think that's the argument that he's saying.
Yeah, correct. I'm not saying that weed is an enhancement at all. I'm saying that you're not allowed to take such substance of any kind in your body, period. Because weed doesn't enhance you. So if it doesn't enhance you, shouldn't it be okay? But it's not. So if that's the argument, why is it that somebody else has to take something into their body in order to be classified as something else? And you're still, Now you're taking a spot from somebody else that naturally has what you need to take to compete. How is that fair? And that's really my argument. Now that I see that she can't compete at all, she's going to completely miss it because she won't give up a spot for another teammate. She won't say, all right, I'm going to compete, so you got to lose your spot. I think that's classy of her. I think she's an amazing athlete, an amazing woman for taking the L. But then you have the rest of the Olympics where they said, well, no, technically, because this is how she comes out, this is how she identifies. So that makes it okay that she could take something into her body. Doesn't matter if it gives her the edge or not. She automatically has the edge because she's naturally possesses the upper body strength to be able to have the edge over every female athlete, therefore taking somebody else that was training. She can no longer compete because we have to give it to her because she's taking something inside of her body. And I don't think that's right. It's either, if we're going to say that everybody gets to compete, or if you take something in your body, you're not allowed, then that should go all across the board. That's true. I mean, again, some people respond differently to when they smoke weed. But my argument isn't because she's taking weed that gives her any kind of edge. My argument is she took something inside of her body that's foreign, that she doesn't naturally produce. And because of that, she can't compete. Yet you have other athletes that had to take something so that they could be classified in a certain class, and they're allowed to compete. I don't understand how that makes any of this fair.
Okay, so if there's anybody else who wants to join in and basically have dialogue, I wanted to open the floor to others who wanted to have dialogue about this. Click the link. Click the link in the chat. You know, I want to hear you guys' perspectives. I see a lot of people saying that they agree. They say that they agree with you. They say that you're speaking facts. So I want some other people who maybe disagree or agree or feel a certain type of way to click the link to have like open dialogue about this, because this has been a topic on social media. And you know, I just wanted to have this conversation on my channel. Now, Art isn't really a commentator or anything like that, but I felt like the point that he made was kind of an interesting one, because I didn't think from that angle. I wasn't even thinking along that line of thinking. And once he said it, I was like, okay, well, you know, you got an interesting perspective. Let's talk about it. Let's see what other people feel about it, and what they think about it. Because although in our minds, we doesn't necessarily make you better, it's not proven that it makes you worse, you know? And we don't really know.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not saying, of course, men produce estrogen too, but we produce completely different levels than what women do. Same as we're naturally born with upper body strength, which women don't have. So, I mean, if that's going to be okay, I don't see why women can't start taking steroids or any kind of substances or hormones, just like she does, to give them a competitive edge. If this is what's going to be moving forward, that if you had to take substances of any kind, not to give you an edge, but just to put you at the same level as everybody else, that should go both ways. But yeah, I mean,
okay. And I think a lot of people think that
now that I saw that she wasn't competing, I was like, you know what? I do have something that I want to talk about, because I found it interesting and I was curious to see.
Yeah, and I think people don't understand, like, it's not that you're not holding her accountable, because I definitely hold her accountable for what she did. Also, I think you just feel as though if we're gonna make certain rules that you can't take something, you can't make it okay for one and not the other, but then say, okay, I'm gonna bend the rules for you, but then hold the rules true for you. I think
Not
people in
is
the chat are missing that because you're not holding her accountable.
no.
You're
I
saying
think
that you just feel like it should be across the board if that's what we're gonna do.
I think she can't compete, and I think she owned up to it, and I respect her for that. But I don't see how. I still don't understand how this is the same Olympics. Everybody's competing all at the same time.
Yeah,
But
but they did
because
the
you're
same thing to Michael Phelps.
yeah, but Michael Phelps did get suspended. He did.
Yeah,
It's not
but
she got suspended. He's got suspended.
yeah, but they did the same thing. It's just the same narrative that people like to play, like marijuana is such a bad drug and stuff like that. It's a bad narrative that's been painted on it. So of course it's going to be frowned upon, and so is steroids. That's
Yeah,
frowned upon as well.
exactly. But I mean, but I find it funny that they're making her the example, yet they're making another athlete the same example for the exact opposite reasons.
Of course, she's black.
I'm with you there. I'm with
I
you
don't
there.
think
I mean,
me
one
as
Let's
a
woman,
call
black
a
one
spade
woman.
a
black woman.
spade.
You're
I'm a
Wait,
black
wait.
woman. I'm a
But
black
I don't
woman.
think it has anything to do with it being a black thing. Like I mean,
I do
Yeah,
feel it's a racial
I
issue,
don't
but I
understand
do
how
find
you
it
don't
funny
need.
that you have
I
both
don't think
sides coming
so.
in.
Somebody has
Come
art.
on.
I think you have feedback when other people are talking.
What am I doing?
It's feedback when other people are talking.
Let me see if I can get a headset and see if that work better.
All right.
So y'all can keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yeah, but I
So
honestly
Tiara,
think it's the
you
black.
think because she's black, she shouldn't be held accountable for what for smoking weed?
Come on, everybody smokes weed openly. Look at Snoop Dogg; he does it openly. Freaking Whoopi
But is Snoop
Goldberg, she's
Dogg an
on
athlete
TV.
in the Olympics or is he a rapper?
He's a rapper, of course. Yeah, but a
Okay, but
person's a person.
you can't compare Snoop Dogg to somebody in the Olympics that's an
They
athlete.
did the same thing to Tina and Serena Williams, man, when they felt like they was using steroids.
What are you I don't know what I don't what do you mean?
Like back in the day, back in the early 19, I want to say 1996, 1997, they did the same thing to Serena when they thought that she was using steroids. And when they found out she wasn't using steroids, she was frowned upon for a long time.
I don't
Hmm.
understand how that correlates, but I'm gonna go to Ira.
I just think people need to be accountable. And one thing, everything's not comparable, and it's not a racial thing. I competed in college in sports. Whether you like it or not, everybody knows this. This is not a new rule. They don't want you smoking weed, whether I
Sure.
like to smoke it or not. Okay, I would have lost my scholarship if I was caught smoking weed. And also, if you're on that level that Sha'Carri was, you already know when they are testing. So that's the part I can't get past. It's not a racial thing. I'm one of the people that I'm waiting to put everything on racial stuff. This topic right here has nothing to do with racial. Why?
Agreed.
Because there's other black women that need support on that track team. So on that relay. So if you bring a Sha'Carri on, now you're taking away another person's spot, another black woman's spot, by the way, who went by the rules that Sha'Carri should have had went by.
For the relay, yeah, correct.
Yes. So I mean, so how can it be racial if the whole damn team is going to be black anyway?
True. And I agree. I don't think it's a racial thing, and I don't think it's a marijuana thing, but I do think it's a substance thing. If you take anything inside, just because she happens to be a black woman, but if that's what we're going to say across the board, anybody that has to take something as substance to be able to compete, not to give you an edge, not to make it just
Okay,
that
so
you have
watch
to
this.
take that.
Let me counter you. I don't smoke weed, right? But I have no issue with it, right? But
Same.
I've heard, if you have anxiety, right? I play sports. If I take weed, if I smoke weed, drink it, whatever, and it helps me not have the anxiety that I used to have, then that is performance enhancing.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think you're missing his argument. His argument is basically Sha'Carri versus the trans athlete that is able to perform. So what he's saying, and I think a lot of you guys are missing the point, he's not holding Sha'Carri accountable. What he's saying is, if there is a rule that you cannot take substances to compete, then how can you then say that this person who says, hey, you know, well, I competed as a male, I got injured, now I no longer can compete as a male anymore, now I transition into being a woman, this person has to take hormones to be able to compete as a woman. So what he's saying is, how can you say that a person can't take any substance, but then say this person can take substances to perform as a woman? That's the argument.
Yeah, I know the argument. I think I'm looking at the comments too. Also, I know what he's saying. I'm just saying that I don't think, me personally, that has something to do with that. But may I ask you a question, Art? Why do you think that? Why do you think, like, because that's something that has to do with like transgender, right? I mean, why do you think they're allowing it?
Same reason why they're allowing a lot of stuff going on in the media. They want it. It's a story. It's gonna get views. It's gonna bring money.
It's touchy. I mean, a man in some states that I know, a man can dress up as a woman and go into the women's bathroom, and then if we say something, we're wrong. So,
or the woman's wrong. If a woman says something about a woman, about a trans woman coming in, they're the one in the wrong.
Yeah, that's more of the issue than the weed comparison.
Yeah,
I think Ira, I think you're still missing I think you're still missing the comparison. I think it's still going over your head.
No, it's not. I'm just
he knows that he's just bringing up more, because if we bring up that issue, you're gonna have to bring up trans issues.
What I'm trying to say is, I'm going a step ahead.
Yeah, he's taking it further.
I'm saying it's, you know why.
Yes.
You know why they're not going to say anything when it comes to that movement.
Yeah, there's definitely an agenda being shown to us.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
And again, it's either we can't talk about it, but I think we need to be able to talk about it, because you're either for it, you're with it, you don't care about it, you're against it, but we still need to know how to talk about it. As people of color, we still got to be able to have open dialogue where we can talk about this or whatever. But pertaining to this issue, I say, if we're going to do this black and white, any kind of substance that you say is in your body will disqualify you, that should go across the board. Simple as that. It doesn't matter if you're a man, if you're a woman, or whatever.
I agree.
And they're always going to compare it, saying, okay, that's a racial issue, and then this one's a trans issue, so they're not the same. Well, if we're all human and we're all taking something, it's either okay or it's not. And if it is okay,
where her teammates didn't.
Yeah, no, her teammates. That's why she's taking the out. That's why I'm with her. I stand by her. You know, if for whatever way they could have made it work and she could have competed this year, I still would have been for it. But
I wish she would have.
I mean, it sucks. I'm sorry for her loss. I know it puts you in a state where, you know, you got to do whatever you can to get through that pain. And she normally did it, and it cost her. She trained for all these years, and it cost her. But she's still young enough. She can come back in 4 years and just
she's only she'll be 25 the next Olympics.
Yeah. So I mean, which is great for her, and I hope she comes back, and I hope she comes back with a vengeance. But it still doesn't change the fact that all the other athletes moving forward, meaning, okay, so she did it and she didn't take nobody's spot because she took a substance. She didn't take anybody's spot. But then you have other countries and other athletes taking something and are taking people's spots.
So is that a U.S. problem or that's a world problem?
If we're talking that this is a global thing,
this is
we can't use how we feel as Americans about weed, This is the Olympics thing. It's a global issue.
I'm asking you. So let's just say this was another country. Do you think that they would have let that person run?
Yeah, to be honest.
So then that's a U.S. thing, then, right?
No, it's still a global thing. But again, if certain countries say, you know what, we're going to back this athlete, even though they're taking substance, but they're allowed to compete, what's to say that they can't do it? What's to stop women from taking steroids? I mean, if they're going to be able to compete with a trans woman that has to take hormones to bring her down to the level of a woman, why stop there? Why can't you have the women get a competitive edge and take, testosterone?
Correct. It's just, but I just think that because I play sports and I hated a lot of rules, but it's just something as simple as if you want to compete, that's just what you got to go by.
Yeah, and you as an athlete,
keep missing his point on what he's saying. You keep going back to, like, we understand.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it.
The rules are rules, and I hold Sha'Carri to the rules. And when I was holding her to the rules and holding her accountable, his point was, well, if you saying that rules are rules, you can't take substances and this and this. His counter was that, and I said, well, you got an interesting argument. So I think you keep going back to, I'm an athlete, I follow the rules, I do this and that, and you keep going over what the argument at hand is. The argument at hand is, if nobody can take anything, why can other people take stuff to be able to compete? But
okay. So what I'm saying
away from that.
So what I'm saying is because they said they can. That's my point.
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. No. At the end of the day, that's what it's coming down to. Because we say we can. This is.
I understand. Okay. I understand. I'm saying that I agree with him, but that's what they say, and that's the answer.
That's what they say.
Like okay, but every time you revert back to Sha'Carri, you say, I'm an athlete, and you have a strong stance on not being able to take drugs. But then when he brings that argument, you're like, oh, well, they say they can. So, like, it's like, do you understand the?
No, yeah, I get it. I think he's trying to say is, where do we draw the line?
I get it. I'm saying that I don't like the rules. I'm not with. I understand it.
Yeah.
But the answer is because they can do it, and it's not right. It's not right.
It's not right, but I think because they can do it, other countries are going to try to figure out, all right, if they could do it, we could do it too. And now we're going to end up eventually with a different kind of Olympics, which will eventually transition into professional sports.
Right.
Because, I mean, why not? Why stop there? Because once there's money to be made, and then we get to that point. And if we have to get into like cybernetic sports where people got to play longer, they can get, surgeries and enhancements to keep playing. Why not? I mean, they're getting paid for it. They're destroying their bodies. Let's go. If that's where we're going to, you don't need to wreck your body. You could just enhance your body to give you that edge.
The whole process is jacked up because depending on the race in the Olympics, you're allowed to have a certain amount of testosterone in your body. So if you're a sprinter or if you're a distance runner, if you have the same testosterone, but they say it's too high, you're allowed to run one race and not allowed to run the other race. It's so confusing. It's just so confusing. But I agree with them. I agree with you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, and that, at the end of the day, that's what it is. This is all messed up.
Nikki?
All right, go ahead, Nikki. Nikki, go ahead.
Yeah, so my follow-up question is, how do we move forward?
Challenging the rules. Like you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, definitely by having dialogue, but I mean, on the level where it affects the things. Is this a country issue? Is this just the Olympic issue where it's going to go across the board? Or is countries going to have to start stepping up and saying, yo, this is not what we're going to do? Yeah, women
Sorry,
do
couldn't hear
take testosterone, but yeah, not at the level of a man. Same as how men produce estrogen. The levels are completely different.
you. It's so many contradictions in like it the most common sense thing you say is we in a person taking testosterone from being a woman to a man or man to woman, like it's it's so obvious, but we can't challenge it in this day and age because they're going to allow it. And what can we do except keep on talking about it, talking about the hypocrisy of it?
Yeah, and being able to argue about it. I mean,
Unless everybody boycotts the Olympics because men are doing men are dressing up as women and competing, like I don't know what else to do.
yeah, I mean, you're having trans women shattering records. You see it all the time that they're breaking records, but you're not seeing the same response for the other end. You're not seeing trans men breaking records.
Well, we genetics that we understand why, I believe.
We do, but again, it's like, well, we just have to accept it, or are we going to address it and say these are the rules moving forward? Because I get it. We're saying that weed is the rule. It's always been a rule. It's like that. So if that means things are changing, maybe it's time that the rules start changing.
I wish it wasn't a rule.
So
We'll see in another 4 years.
hey gentlemen, so do you guys know what the list of controlled substances are, and what the lists are that are approved substances that you can take
In track and field?
in the Olympics?
Yeah, I know there's a list of
Because
what you can and can't take.
remember, Sha'Carri had already run her race.
Mm-hmm.
She had already run her race. She'd already run her race prior to her being
she was clean, and so she earned her spot.
She would already won. So her spot legitimately was already won. The issue was with the Olympics themselves, which each country and each continent of people who are actually performing or going to Tokyo, you won't really, I think, be vetted until you get there. However, when Michael Phelps was caught doing the same thing, the same exact thing, he did not get disqualified from actually performing. He just lost sponsors.
He lost sponsors, but he also did get suspended.
Let me ask you a question, Queen.
He got suspended, but he still was able to compete. See,
she got suspended too. It's just a time frame.
Yeah, not just suspended because they've been updating. Now, I don't know how true when you're going back and forth with all these articles, because that's the other thing that I can't seem to pinpoint which is true and which is not true, because the suspension plus, not being able to race. Now, if they were going to let her do the 4x4, she could have still did the 100. Because if you're going to let her do one, she could do the other. The problem is you got a black woman, a black young girl who is boastful. She's her personality is loud. First of all, let's keep it right real. She wear wigs and weaves, which I love all of what she looks like. And on top of that, she was vocal about losing her mother. You can tell that she was not in control of herself, but she, in that moment, you can tell that she was going to take some time to herself. Now, should she have gone and smoked marijuana or smoked kush? I'm gonna tell you right now, it's legal here, Amsterdam, and different in other countries. It's not even considered a controlled substance.
Yeah, but it was legal in her state too. I mean,
so
I agree.
At the end of the day, I'm trying to understand why all of a sudden the athletes who probably do smoke and the people who like I think
wait. What did her wigs have to do with any of
I was letting her
what did that
so my whole point is I was just putting it all out there because I know I've been in different rooms where the conversation is her looks, the conversation is how she talks or how
Yeah, no,
loud
I
she is,
understand.
what she is. So I'm just kind of trying to cover all bases in general. I don't have a problem with her looks. I'm just bringing it up, as in,
She's just
because
bringing up all the
some
reasons to
men,
use
I
against
know,
her.
but
some
what is?
men,
But it don't got nothing to do with any of this. So
right?
kind
But
of.
Yeah,
it was
but
just
in
a
some
comment.
she's saying
Let's
in
just say
some
it's
arguments
some arguments is her
they
whole
bring that up.
aesthetic, as their reason for not trying to support her, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
And at the end of the day, that doesn't matter. Is all I was just a general comment and
yeah, that's
saying
true.
that it does not matter her outward aesthetics to say that, okay, well, because of what she looks like, that she shouldn't get the same support that Michael Phelps did. White America went to bat for Michael Phelps. They did it. I mean, he
Yeah,
was literally like the golden boy.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in real quick. A lot of people keep bringing up Michael Phelps, but the Michael Phelps incident did not happen at the Olympics time. That happened afterwards. So after the fact, after he had already did the Olympics, after he had already tested clean to be cleared for the Olympics, he did the Olympics. Later, there was a photo that surfaced later. After the
Mhm.
photo surfaced of him with the bong, he was then suspended and he lost endorsements after the fact.
And clown.
A lot of people keep comparing the two when it's not even the same time frame of events.
yeah, and
Right, but
that's true. And
didn't he get to compete in the next Olympics?
yeah,
He
but
got to
he was
compete in
still clean.
the following Olympics.
4 years later, Sha'Carri will
Yeah,
be able to compete too 4 years
yeah,
later.
in 4 years, and she didn't lose
And
any of her sponsorships.
and
Nike's still with her.
and if anything, Miss Sisterella, she would have the least penalty of the example that you're talking about.
Yeah, all
30
they're
days.
saying is she can't compete. Yeah, she's got off like
She's going to be
and-
able to compete in the world championships.
yeah. I mean, I respect a lot of how she's taking it. It's just sad and it sucks that we won't see her compete, but she's not going away.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah,
I
and it sucks,
I'm
but
straight up be honest with you. I honestly felt like she shouldn't have to take any L's because she literally had already won her race. But hey,
yeah,
the rules,
I mean,
rules. If there are
and
rules, and that's one of the drugs that's on the list of.
All right, so I'm gonna
unapproved
jump in. I'm gonna jump in real quick. So, okay, so the reason why, if you look at the articles, the reason why she was disqualified is because the test that they took was the test
prior,
like
right before
around the time of the race that she won. So she was disqualified for that race in a sense because the test came back at that time. The results came in later, but the test for that was what people are talking about. So that's why that kind of took her out of the qualifications, because that's the time that these tests were done.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
I mean, it sucks, and yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we can rally around her and say that we can make this better. But I mean, the reality is we can't. And it's just as we're moving forward, as this is being more and more common, it's going to bring up a lot more issues that we haven't touched on. I mean, it's sad that she lost her mom, and that most of us would resort to weed. I mean, she could have got drunk. She could have drank away, and that would have been out of her system. She would have been fine. Or she could have did something that we normally don't do as people of color, is go to therapy.
I don't subscribe to the people of color, but that's another conversation.
I understand, but I mean, I'm a minority. We still have the same issues.
I understand what you're saying. I understand.
Normally, I'm Latin, I'm Mexican.
Right.
We drink or we do drugs. We don't get help. We don't talk about it. We don't get therapy. We don't do any of that kind. And I know it's the same for Black Americans too.
Right.
It's not encouraged. We don't talk about it. So I mean, we could say it's sex, she did weed or whatever, but I mean, she still had other options that she could have did to deal with her grief. That wouldn't have cost her the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's right.
I could definitely say that actively it seemed like there could have been a better group of influences around her.
Could have been.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I mean, I think it's sad. I'm disappointed, like everybody else, that she won't be competing. There's no way that we could bend the rules to make that happen. She didn't want to take somebody else's spot that worked just as hard for her, so that they could compete. And you know, my hat's off to her. But again, if that's how we're holding her accountable, her as a Black woman, her as an American, that's what it's got to go the same for everybody in all the countries competing for the Olympics.
And they just got to be consistent. Like if someone else tests for weed, you don't give them an exception.
Not just for weed. I think for any substance. Like I could, because that's why I'm trying to say. Does anyone have? I don't know. Nick, do you have the list? Has anybody been able to pull the list of what the substances are?
Yeah.
All I know
see if I can find it.
Sister Rella, that there's things that those track and field athletes, they can't even go to GNC and take certain stuff.
Right.
That we can.
Right.
It's their job.
There's certain vitamins.
It's their job not to make sure they don't take it.
So, was there anybody else who wanted to chime in on this topic? The link is in the chat. Basically, what the conversation was initially is the comparison between a trans athlete being able to take a substance to be able to come down to a woman's level, which still does not make you 100% at our level because you still have an advantage from being born male.
Right.
And the comparison to Sha'Carri taking a substance that is deemed not cool, but then others are able to take substances to make them be able to come down to our level, and Art feeling like it wasn't fair.
I don't agree with the trans person being able to manipulate their genetic
makeup.
Well, not right. I guess that it would be kind of like their genetic biological
advantages
to decrease their testosterone in order to compete against females, because at the end of the day, those, I don't even know how well that's regulated. You understand what I'm saying? Like if what was the track star who was I think she is the track star that they had the big issue about who had the higher levels of testosterone, because she was born with, oh God, what was her name? I don't even have my computer in front of me.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
And she was from another country, and they made the big deal because she was literally blowing people away on the track for her event. And they made this big deal, literally had her tested multiple times because she did have higher levels of testosterone.
Naturally,
naturally. But I guess she also did share, I think, both sexes. I don't know if she was hermaphrodite or not. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, the transgender weightlifter, to me, if you don't win in your bracket as a male, I feel like you should not be able to compete to, bring your levels of testosterone down, which changes your body makeup to compete against females. I don't think that's right. That's not fair. Because they still would have an advantage over women. I mean, you have transgender persons cracking women's skulls in different areas of sports, and I think that's just not right.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead, Project 20.
Yeah, I'd like to comment. Nick, I'm glad you mentioned, you said what I was going to say. I get so sick of the Michael Phelps comparison because it's completely different. He had already, I'm not going to go through what you already said. You're absolutely right. And the fact of the matter is he was penalized. He lost endorsements. It's a different thing. This lady knew the rules. She broke the rules. And, there are consequences. And we need to stop making excuses for her. And it really bothers me that Black people are going around making excuses for this woman. And it's just, look, she's a brilliant runner. She's a brilliant athlete. There's no way around that. But she screwed up, and she has to pay for that mistake. And this notion that she lost her mother, first of all, she had to be told that she lost her mother. She didn't even know it. She learned it in an interview. And secondly, she had no relationship with her mother. She was raised by her grandmother. So this is another excuse that we're
but we
allowing.
We don't know her family dynamics to say what her relationship was with her mom or not. So
no, we do. She didn't have a relationship. She didn't have a relationship.
But you don't know how that affects. But you don't know how that affects someone, and apparently it affected her gravely because she literally broke down in the interview. So I'm saying to you is that you can't say just because she learned it in an interview that she didn't have some sort of family familiarity in her family.
What I'm saying to you is this is played out on the world stage. And Black people, we're not children, okay? We are adults. We are responsible adults. And this makes us look like children.
No, everybody is not a responsible adult. Clearly, that's why we're having this conversation. And I think it is very, very.
Okay, well, you continue to make it. You continue.
No, I'm not making
to make excuses.
I'm being.
You absolutely are making excuses for it.
No, we're not, because everyone is not a responsible adult, which is why we're having this conversation. Is what I'm saying to you. You're trying to say that adults should be able to actually have a rational conversation to agree with the results of her breaking the rules and things like that, when we all don't see things the same because we don't all have the proper information, is what I'm saying to you. I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm just saying I don't agree with your statement.
Well, I just think it's sad. I think it's so sad that this thing is played out on the world stage, and it makes Black people, because we're all lumped together when these types of things happen, it makes it look like we're just irresponsible, we're children, and we just cannot control anything. We can't control our emotions. And the other thing, I just look. I know I'm not going to be very popular with what I'm saying. I know we're rallying behind this woman. We want to support her, and I get that. But the fact of the matter is, if this were a white woman, I think she'd be dealt with differently. And I think she'd be dealt with a lot harsher. And that's just what I think.
I can agree with you. I can agree with you on that, because Rachel Nichols was definitely rallied around by the brothers. So I definitely agree with you about that. White women.
The other thing, this is a sidebar, but Gabby, when she was competing, she was so made fun of about her hair. She had natural hair. And I know Nick didn't want to get into this, but I think it is relevant. This lady has, I don't even know what it is on her head. And we are celebrating this. And that's another thing that sort of bothers me. There's a lot of things about this story that just absolutely bother me. And I just think that
what are you talking about her hair? You talking about her hair, her weave, her wig?
Well, I'm saying
you're a Black male, right? So let me ask
absolutely,
you.
I'm Black as coal.
Okay, so what is the big deal with men and women in their hair? I don't get it. Because you guys don't. The majority. When I say you guys, I'm not speaking specifically. Well, I guess I can speak to you because you made the comment.
Okay, let me answer. I'll answer the question very quickly.
Let me finish my question so you can answer it entirely. What is the big deal about a Black woman in any facet on how she wears her hair, whether it's bald, whether she wears a wig, whether she wears it natural, whether she does it or she does do her hair? What is the big deal?
Okay, here's the big deal. You're complaining about men invading women's spaces, okay? When you put that stuff on your head, when you cover up your natural hair and you put on these weaves and you put these fake eyelashes on and these nails, you allow men to do the same thing. And I'm telling you, some of these men look better than the women. That's just a fact. So you can't. You're complaining about men invading women's spaces, and I'll be honest with you. I am so done with men invading women's spaces. But I'm saying you are inviting men to do that when you wear these weaves, and not only that, the massive transfer of money. It just.
But see, I don't understand that comment, because Flip Wilson was dressing like a woman way before any other man started doing that. And then you had Tyler Perry.
Well, no, you had Milton Berle before him. Milton Berle dressed like a woman before him.
Then you have RuPaul. So I think there's really a conversation to be had, because I think that conversation doesn't belong in this space when it comes to a woman in her hair, which is why I brought it up earlier. Because that's always going to be the fallback when you have a conversation about women. And it's not. And I think there's a difference between a man, a black man, or a white man, or any man coming into a woman's space trying to dictate her validity of what she looks like, if she's natural or has a wig, to say whether or not what she's saying is invalid.
Think about this.
Is what I'm saying.
Think about this.
I think that's what you're missing. You just literally telling us, the panel of people, that a man dressed like a woman looks better than a actual woman.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm saying that some men dressed like women look better than some of these women with these weaves.
That's a personal preference. That's your personal preference.
No, it's not. I don't listen. Don't. I'm not. It's not a preference. I'm just stating a fact. But let me just say this, okay? Let me just say that. Let me say this, okay? When Gabby was wearing her natural hair, she was ridiculed. She was criticized by black women.
No, she was ridiculed. No, she wasn't. She was ridiculed by the black community. I'm not even going to make that a gender thing. She was ridiculed by the black community, because
by black women. By black women.
No,
black women criticized her.
No, it wasn't.
Look, I saw it in real time. The point is,
no, it was not, because no black woman was sitting there worried about a gymnastic female up there doing her thing on the Olympic stage. The only thing that people were worried about were the men, and I was not trying to go there, the black men coming for her because of how her hair looked. And so
black men weren't coming for her. Black women were coming for her.
Well, I would beg you to go do your research, pull the receipts, and then come back and tell us.
Everybody got a different perspective on that. Like, I don't think no one's wrong. I don't think you're wrong, Sister Bella, on that, and I don't think the gentleman's wrong, because I heard it from everybody about the example you're talking about Gabby. I heard it from everybody. I heard it. So black women were a part of it. So his perspective is saying the black women. Your perspective was saying the black men. Y'all saying the same thing.
Black
here's the thing.
She said black community.
Yeah, she said the black
community. The black community, I didn't want to make it a gender thing, because you did hear it from everybody. But what I'm saying is, I'm not going to go into a space and try to pinpoint it and make it a gender war when it don't even have to be.
Yeah.
Even when we win, we lose. Here you have a woman who's a brilliant athlete. She's on the world stage, and we have an opportunity for her to display her natural beauty. And what does she do? She dons up. She puts on this ridiculousness.
She still looks beautiful, whether or not you have her hair or not. So it doesn't matter. She still looks beautiful, whether or not you think she does or not.
Well,
yeah, I don't.
All right. Y'all just going back and forth. All right, Being True Love just chimed in. What are your thoughts? Unmute your mic.
My apologies. When I dropped in, I ended up losing my train of thought. So just give me a minute. I'll chime in when it all comes back to me, if you don't mind.
That's cool. I mean,
let me speak, because I didn't get an opportunity to speak yet. Project 2080. I think that you are part of the problem, because you're getting on here and you're talking about her hair and her appearance and her aesthetics. She's not in the Olympics because of her aesthetics. She's in the Olympics because of her talent. That's what this whole debacle is about. It's about her talent and what her abilities was and what she did out on that track and field. So forget how she looked aesthetically. She might not be to your liking. However, she is talented, undeniably. Now, I understood what Art Lucas was saying, because here you have a woman that smoked marijuana, which is legal. You have a lot of professional sports that have loosened the testing on marijuana. So marijuana has been loosened from NBA, from UFC, from all different sports. Now, in her state, marijuana is legal. When you go and you research the Olympics guidelines, athletes are able to smoke marijuana as long as it's not on competition day. So when did they test her? That should be our question. When exactly did they test her? Because she ran and she won her race. So when did they test her?
I see what
Now,
you're saying. So you're saying she was tested on a non-competition day, and when she competed,
No,
she I see.
this is what I'm trying to
she
understand, because when
tested
you go in
during
Google,
her qualifying
I
race,
think
She tested during the qualifying phase.
and it
okay,
didn't
but
come
this
out
was
till
after
after
she
she
competed,
qualified. No, the results
right?
came out after she qualified, but she tested for that race, and she had positive. That's why she got disqualified.
Okay, but see then here's the problem, right? Why would they test her before and not give results before allowing her to compete?
They do it to everybody.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the fact that they allowed her to compete, right? So even if she tested positive before, when did she smoke marijuana? Did she smoke marijuana 2 days before? How high the levels was in her system?
Listen to
It
what
didn't
you're
matter. It
saying.
was in her system.
Listen to how you're twisting yourself to get this woman off the hook. Listen
Sir,
to
I'm not trying to get this woman off the hook. I'm going back to
well, you're
Art Lucas'
absolutely
analogy. No. I'm going back to what he was saying. He was saying,
the rules.
why is
She went
Sha'Carri
against.
disbarred from competing in the Olympics? But you have this transgender that has to take enhancement drugs to lower their testosterone to be able to compete with natural born women. So there's
so
a
to
double
me that
standard.
sounds like that's what the real central conflict is here, is about the transgender thing. And I just wanted to tap in and encourage you guys to don't be fearful and just have the conversation, because I think that we lose ourselves and we keep trying to push to the forefront this thing about this woman smoking weed, because she already knows that it was out, that she's disqualified, and she's okay with that. She kind of feels like, dang, I messed up, and that's kind of it. And I think if we were all in her shoes, we would all kind of be like, damn, and that's it. And I think that's where she's at with it. The real conversation, I think the real conversation is what you just mentioned. And I think everyone is afraid to talk about that. And I think that if we're going to move forward, that needs to just go ahead. People need to say how they really feel and go ahead and get it out and start having a conversation.
I'll chime in first. I think the first thing we need to do is get rid of the word cis. That is the most ridiculous word ever. A cis woman. A cis woman is a woman who identifies as a woman.
We didn't create that. That was a transgender.
No, I agree. But I'm just saying that's what the gay community, the transgender community has used, so that when you say trans woman, now you have to say cis woman. It's absolutely absurd.
Here's what I think about that, sir.
I agree with
At
that.
any given time, and we all have biases. We don't have to bring our bias to the table unless we want to. We all have bias, and we should be upfront about them, but we don't always all bring our bias to the table. But at the end of the day, if you've ever been through some real serious trauma, if you've ever dealt with anything really just heinous in life, you come to find in changing and growing and working on yourself that the only way to make change is to really be the change that you would want to see. So while a lot of us are terrified about the different things that are going on, all this gender message, everybody's confused, we don't know what to do. It's like in and of the universe, we only have love or fear. So we can either choose love or fear. And what does that look like in this scenario? That's the conversation we need to have. What does fear look like?
I'm gonna pause you real quick. Wait. I'm gonna pause you real quick. So we have a trans woman in the chat. She's well respected on my channel, and I want to hear Jackie's perspective of Art's argument as to the comparison within using a substance to be able to compete and using a substance that does not hinder you to compete. So I want Jackie to come on and give her thoughts as a transgender woman and basically have that voice on this panel. Oh damn, I done spilled some shit. Have her voice on this panel on this topic. So I definitely want her to come along. So
Nick,
wait. Yeah.
I just want to. You had a show not too long ago where you talked about a gym, a spa, where where a trans woman was walking around in front of children and everything. And I wish can you ask Jackie when she comes up if she could comment on that story as well. It's a little bit off topic, but I'd be curious to hear what she has to say about that.
Okay, Jackie was in the comments of that video, and Jackie doesn't feel like that was a transgender and that was a bad representation. But yeah, Jackie can speak for Jackie.
Would that be a fair question?
If she comes on?
I don't know that would be a fair question for her, because that's kind of like worst case scenario for being a Black person. What if somebody asked one of us, or a Black person, or whatever you identify as, to say, how would you feel if you are Black and you come into a whole this and that like that? I don't think that's a fair
an
question
individual.
to ask.
That's an individual's problem. That person is an individual who made a decision to go into a woman and little girl space. So that's an individual. That ain't fair to ask her.
Question. It's a fair question to ask the transgender community or anyone that represents the transgender community, because there was someone from that community that was in that spa that created all of the ruckus that happened in that spa. So
I get what you're saying, but I don't feel the reason I don't feel like
but it's fair to ask somebody that is a part of the community whether or not they think that should or should not be allowed.
Now, I get what you're saying, but we have to. This is the hardest thing to do when we have a passion about something, is to put ourselves in our shoes and use that empathy that we all know we have. So we can't say that that's a fair question, because what if somebody said, my Black neighbor raped my 2 kids? So how do you feel about that when you're saying that Black people should be able to live in a neighborhood? And that's kind of like
Black. I would compare to
that's kind of like
because
let me make my point.
All right. Wait. We got Jackie on the line. We got Jackie. So let's pause. Let's ask the question. I see somebody else. Stacy Galore said that they are also a trans woman. You're welcome to come on as well. Don't bully the guest. You be kind, be respectful. I know that a lot of people have strong views. But I want this to be a respectable platform. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I have Jackie on. Anybody else who's trans that is in the chat who wants to come on, you can come on as well. Just let me know and I will post the link again, etc., etc. But Art, pose the question or the analysis that you had, and then ask, I'm sorry, can't be using the Ebonics all the time. Ask Jackie's perspective as to that. So we'll go to you, Art. You are the one who brung this up. You are the one who, this was your, comparison. So give your comparison, and then we'll give the alley-oop to Jackie as a trans woman to give her perspective. Doesn't speak for all, but just Jackie's perspective, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, great. Yeah. What I was asking is, it's not whether somebody's trans, whether somebody's a woman, whether somebody's Black, whether somebody's white. It's as a person taking any kind of substance into your body to be able.
Wait. Let me make sure Jackie is here, because Jackie hasn't said anything. Jackie, are you here? Wait. Jackie, are you here? Jackie, because I want you to be able to respond before he does his spiel and all that. I haven't heard you say anything. All right, go out and come back in. Hold on, wait before you give your spill because I don't want you to say it and then somebody's click clacking. Hold on, who's that? Whose mic is off? Project 2080 or Art? One of you guys is click clacking. All right, Stacy Galore, you're able to come on. Click the link in the chat. Jackie, come on. You're able to click on. Sisterella, I'm gonna take you off for a second just to make space for a couple transgender women to come on so that they can give their perspective. So I'm gonna just take you off temporarily to make space for Jackie to come on because the room is full. So let's see. Hold on. I'm trying to. Okay, Jackie's back. Jackie. Can anybody hear Jackie?
I don't hear her.
Jackie, are you speaking? We can't hear you.
Hello?
Asja, are you trans woman?
Aja, no, I am a cisgendered woman.
Oh, okay. No, well, like
I'm
you
sorry.
I just seen it clicked on because I want to hear, since we've been having this dialogue, I want to hear from a trans woman's perspective. So
can I just say
Galore,
something very, very quickly?
Go ahead.
It's just a little bit off subject, but y'all brought it up. But why do Black women have to be perm hating, nature loving, coconut oil wearing Black women? Like, why are we expected to be all natural? Y'all don't know if white people wear wigs. Y'all don't know if white people have extensions. But why are we expected to be
all right.
natural?
All right.
I don't get it.
Wait. Jackie, hello?
That's annoying.
All right. Jackie, are you there? Try some headphones or something. Jackie's mic is not muted, so I don't know. Jackie, hello? All right, go ahead on Aja. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I want to hear Jackie, but Jackie, we can't hear her, so I don't know.
It's just that man got on and he was talking about the girl's wig. Like, just because white girls don't broadcast the fact that they're wearing their micro bead extensions or their tape-in extensions, because y'all know they wear the tape-in extensions, right? That they could just tape them in with the tape and just take it right out. It's like different strokes for different. Like, why are you so worried about Black girls being all natural?
I'm not worried about it, but
It
here's
seems
the
like you
thing,
really
okay?
are. I don't like that. Like, hold the standard to all people. Like, why are we expected to be natural, but you not looking in the white girl's hair and saying, "Oh, I don't think her hair is that long. I don't think her hair is down to her ankles." But that's what they do, and they deceive us. They don't not deceive us, but they don't put us in. We didn't know about those extensions for a while. We had to be put onto lace fronts. They were wearing lace fronts before us. Okay, a long time before us. We got put onto that from movies and stuff like that. They was doing that in the movies and stuff. Okay,
they're wearing hair that looks like their own. Don't you get it? They're wearing stuff that looks like their own.
My hair
they're not wearing. They're not wearing an afro on their head.
How straight my hair is. I'm Black. If I decided to add some hair into my hair, you're gonna sit and tell me I can't do that? That don't make no sense.
You're gonna sit there and tell me. You're gonna tell me that this woman looks anything like a human being?
Project, you
can't. She looks ridiculous.
You cannot judge people because they don't look the way that you expect them to look.
Not a question of judging.
You can't expect
listen,
for
Black
every
women are
woman
Black women are constantly
to look
saying
the same, though. It's black women that wear both weave and their natural hair. That you have options.
Yes.
It's a whole.
There's a lot of white girls that wear braids.
It's a lot of black women that do wear their natural hair. So, if black women that wear wigs is not your cup of tea,
and maybe you have short hair. Maybe they want to look different for once.
Let me just comment, okay?
Maybe their hair
not everyone is going to be on the same path, and you have to accept that not everyone's going to be on the same path as you. I wear my natural hair. Not everyone's going to have that same path, and that's okay.
So when your hairline start receding, you're gonna want to put something in the front of your hair, or no? You're just gonna let it recede back. I want to know your. I don't get it.
So I wanted to make a statement if nobody minds, or would you feel I'm disrespecting your comment if I do, Aja? Okay.
Sorry.
Let me present this scenario to you. I don't think they're trying to make this a race thing, but it seems like it keeps falling back on race thing because the whole transgender thing falls back on race thing because one of the points of the whole transgender thing is that there may be a fear that that's going to potentially wipe out a race of women or make the blur the lines too much. But so thinking about women's hair and all of that, who created this? Who created perms and what have you? It was a black man who first created perms. So when you're digging that deep, there's something going on there where black men had a preference for a certain look and impressed that onto their women. So like I mentioned, that's a whole nother conversation, and I don't want to try to take over this podcast with presenting that, but I don't think that's where they were going with it in the first place. I think they just really he looked like did he drop out? Yeah, he dropped down anyway, I guess. But I was hoping that
I'm still here. I was just trying to get the
No, not you, the other guy, Art, or whom I guess his name is. But
well, in regards to testosterone that is naturally produced, testosterone is 10 times as strong as estrogen. And if you look at men who detransition, if they transition from male to female and transfer it back, and transfer, oh Lord, and transition back, they have the ability to look masculine again because testosterone is just that strong. But women who transition into men, they are stuck with masculine features. That's all I got to say about how strong testosterone is. It's about your build, your muscle builds, and all of that. So yeah, I was just hopping back on that, be on topic a little bit. But yeah, testosterone is so much more stronger than estrogen
So what's your message behind that? What are you aiming to really assert there? Are you saying
she should not be she should not be in the Olympics, the trans woman. I was just getting back on topic in regards to like it isn't fair. It isn't fair at the end of the day.
I absolutely agree with you there.
Unfair.
I absolutely agree with that.
If you literally look at a woman who transitioned into a man, that testosterone that woman was taking, and she transitioned, so she, is a woman again. The testosterone is so strong, she will still have masculine features. Like her jaw will be wider, and she'll still she will look like a trans woman transitioning into a woman, in opposed to her looking like her feminine, like how she looked prior to. If a man transitions into a woman and transitions back into a man, he's gonna have facial hair, broad shoulders, still not like it's gonna easily snap back. So it isn't fair. That alone will show you.
All right.
So is the fear then that somehow women won't be as effective if that happens? If like the Olympics or all sports just get flooded with cross genders and mixed gender and male female, so is the fear that
there's no uniformity? There's no uniformity at all.
I don't think it's so much of a fair.
Yeah, I think the conversation was fairness.
Yeah, I'm saying uniformity in regards of fairness.
Yeah.
Like women, in their natural build, like can't outpower, the weakest of the men. Like the
Here's
strongest
an
woman, it's
idea.
harder for them to
Here's an
outpower some of
idea.
the weakest men.
Here's an idea. If you were born with a penis, you're a man. If you were born with a vagina, you're a female. How about that? That's worked for centuries.
You know
Why
what?
can't we go back to that?
You're right. That is.
But I think the bottle's open. There's no finishing back
if
I'm tired of this whole thing.
My thing is just like a personal identity should not hinder on the overall collective of something. If it's something such as a sport like the Olympics, how big that is, it should not hinder on everyone as a collective. Like, oh no, what should we do in this case? Fucking excuse my language. Common sense. Women compete with women, men compete with men. Like, how hard is that to understand? Like, if you want to
realize,
compete,
antagonists of those who speak
realize
against
we are. Do you realize we are so out of whack in this society right now? Me as a man, a big, strong black man, if I want to walk into a woman's bathroom at Target, there's not a damn thing they can do about it. I can walk in there and I can pull my junk out and use the bathroom in Target in the female bathroom. This is where we are in this country today.
So we have Jackie.
It's absolute
back.
nonsense.
Wait. Let's see if we can hear Jackie. Jackie, hello. Jackie.
Can't figure it out.
Jackie wrote in the chat that she can hear us, but
we can't hear Jackie.
We can't hear her.
I don't hear her.
Jackie, are you there?
I mean, what is the next step? Like, what do you do next? Us sit on the internet and complain about it? Like, you petition? I don't get it.
Well, here's another thing as well. So what most people say against the feminists, that's Jackie, I think.
Wait, I think that was Sapphire. Sapphire, was that you?
Jackie says she's having issues in the
I'm
chat.
like, why you want to do something about it? People gonna be who they are.
What's your identity? Are you trans as well? Sapphire?
No, I'm straight. I'm not transgender. I'm just a regular biological woman. I don't have anything against
Go ahead, speak.
But only thing I say is, why is everybody tripping off of why is everybody tripping off of somebody's life? Shouldn't you be paying attention to your own life?
When it hinders with the general collective of people, that's the only time. It's when it like if you appear as a woman and you go into the bathroom and you take a pee and you wash your hands and you leave, no one has a problem. Now, if you don't wash your hands, we're gonna have a problem. But if you leave, you good. Like, no one cares about what you do in your personal life. However, when it comes to something like
they got stalls.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying. What difference does it make?
I think I'll tell you. Someone asked what difference does it make?
Open.
That isn't the biggest issue here.
I think the
let me tell you what
difference.
Let me tell you what difference it makes.
I'll just wait.
Let me tell you what difference it makes. Okay, the difference it makes is if you don't have procreation, you die as a race. Black people, between being incarcerated, with gays, with all these things that are going on with black people, murder rate, we're in real trouble. We're in real danger.
We talking about transgenders.
I'm saying that's all part. This gay agenda is more devastating to black people than almost any other group.
But the thing of it is, it's the loud minority. Like with
hello?
People, even in any community, is always allowed minority.
All right, wait. We got Jackie. Wait. We finally have Jackie.
I'm trying to get on. I can't.
We can hear you, Jackie.
Wait.
Bring your volume down.
Hear you.
Bring your volume down, Jackie.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, turn. You have it open in another tab. Close it. Jackie, are you there?
So,
Hello, hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Jackie.
Jackie?
We
The bathroom situation. Is that what y'all was saying?
Okay, so Art, explain
Hello?
what you were saying. Okay, wait. Art's gonna explain it again.
Hello?
We can hear you. Go
Hello,
ahead,
hi
Art.
Jackie.
Oh, God.
Okay, wait. Art's gonna explain it again.
Someone's speaker's on.
I'm
She got to
stopping.
turn the speaker off.
All right, hi Jackie. All right, I'm gonna start again. My question was, it's about fairness. It's not about race. It's not about gender. It's about competing and taking substance. Anything that's foreign to your body and you take it. Why is it okay that you can't compete because you took this into your body? So now you no longer compete, but somebody else has to take something into their body in order to compete. Why is that fair?
Well, with the hormones, when we take, first of all, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, with the hormones, I've been taking hormones for about 11 years. And I will tell you that it has physically changed the amount of strength that I have. Okay, it not only has it changed the amount of strength that I have, it has also made a change in my physical characteristics as well. So I think the issue is people think that by taking if we take hormones, that we're still going to have all this strength, we're still going to be strong, and that's not true at all. Okay, we are. What happens is that we have a decreased amount of muscle mass. Okay, we do become weaker because our bodies are transforming. So we don't have the same amount of strength. Now, if it's someone that is not taking hormones, I could understand where y'all coming from. But for someone like me who's been on hormones for 11 years, it does make a change in your physical characteristics. We lose muscle mass. We don't have the same strength that we've had. People assume because, oh, well, we're transitioning from male to female that we still have this amount of strength if we're on hormones, and that's absolutely incorrect.
Okay,
so then my question to that, my next question to that is, I know I have a neutral stance. I just want to say this. So is there evidence-based research to support that claim? Because that will make a big difference, and then everybody can just be at resolve. If there is evidence-based research that supports that claim, that I'm sorry.
What is happening?
I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Let Art talk.
I can't even hear them.
Okay, can you hear me? I can right now. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. I can hear you. Okay.
My follow-up question was that because you said that you've been using it for an extended period of time, and a lot of these athletes that are transitioning to compete from male to female haven't been on there as long. So what's the time frame are we talking about? Like if they just transition within a year, you're telling me that they're going to have the same strength as a woman, or are they going to still have a lot of their same strength that they had as a male?
It depends. Everybody's body's different. The hormones will take different effects on every body in a different capacity. It depends on genetics. It depends on age. It really depends on your physical characteristics. So somebody could have been taking it for about 2 years and they're not really seeing as much results as compared to me, who's been taking it for 11 years. So it really depends on what stage of your life and what age you've been taking it. Like I said, everybody's body is not the same. So the hormones may or may not take as well on each person.
And I understand that completely. But again, because we don't know how is it going to go. How do you regulate that? Especially when we're talking about the Olympics. How do you regulate that? Because this person transitioned more to a woman a lot faster than this person, but this person still has the edge because they transitioned within a year. And it goes both ways, because we're seeing trans women shattering records of female sports, and we're not really seeing it on trans men.
Good question.
Yeah, that's what I'd like an answer to.
I mean, scientific. I mean, basically, with the trans men, their testosterone is really strong, because with them, I mean, I'm not an expert in this. You know, you would have to have like some of the people that are true experts on here, like Hope Giselle and all the other advocates for the community. But
yeah, no, we're just taking your perspective.
Right. I could tell you this, that trans men, when they transition, there's something about the testosterone that will change their voice, that will change. It's stronger than the estrogen. I mean, it does more work to me than as if the estrogen for the trans female. Am I answering your question correctly?
Yeah, no. I mean, you're answering from your perspective, which helps a lot. But
right, so the testosterone, as for a female to male, their hormones are going to take, because there's a lot of these trans men out here that have been on hormones for only 2-3 years, and you hear a change in their voice. You'll start developing hair on their face. But as opposed to a trans woman, we have to train our voice. You understand what I'm saying? We have to train our voice, so the estrogen don't do the kind of work as if the testosterone would do to us physically. So it's not, a lot of us have to do more surgeries as opposed to what the estrogen could do for us. But again, it all depends on your genetics. It depends on age. It depends on, are you on any type of drugs? Because if you're on drugs, that will also hinder your transition as well.
Can I ask a question to
Here's
her?
Yes.
How do you feel about Sha'Carri being banned? Do you agree with the ban, or you think she shouldn't have got banned, or vice versa?
What, for that whole drug issue?
For her smoking weed,
for taking substance.
Yes.
What we do? I mean, who doesn't? I mean, I don't smoke weed, but I don't think it's a big deal. I don't know why they banned her. Like, they don't say anything about the other athletes who's been on all kinds of steroids or anything like that. So I don't see what the problem is. I really think maybe it's a whole race issue to me.
Well, here's the thing.
I have a question for you, Jackie.
Yeah.
Going back to your conversation with Art, how you were explaining the estrogen versus the testosterone. So my question is that given Art's perspective, as far as there is currently a trans woman that is in the Olympics, that is currently competing in the Olympics in the women's race, do you feel that it is fair for a trans woman to compete against regular natural born women, given that that trans person still has testosterone, whether it's a low percentage or not? Do you feel like they should be able to compete against women in these sort of competitive sports?
If you can't confirm what level of testosterone, how different they are from other females, are they still fair to compete?
Right. I truly believe, I mean, I don't see a problem with it depending on, again, the level of their transition. Because like I tell everybody, ever since I've been transitioning for 11 years. Let's say I wanted to participate in women's sports. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't have the same strength as opposed to 11 years ago. So a biological woman may, believe it or not, may have an equal opportunity or may have an advantage over me. And it also depends on their skill at the sport. That you also have to look at that too. It's not just about strength, it's also about skill. Let's say it's a boxing.
But the age of the women, the age we're talking about are.
Yeah, the age doesn't really matter though. But the age doesn't really matter.
We're talking about people in their 20s and 30s.
All right, let's see. Let's see Lay Trey. Wait. Let's see Lay Trey say what they want to say. Go ahead, see Lay Trey.
Yeah, appreciate it. So respectfully,
hello.
I'm glad that people have.
Why is everybody coming in and out?
I'm glad that. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm glad that people.
I'm sorry, guys. It's just that my phone is going in and out. I'm sorry. Can y'all repeat that, please? I'm sorry.
No worries. So I'm glad that people give space for people to have these conversations and give space for different groups to be part of this collective with the Olympics. But I think the problem is that we're talking around standards. What are the standards? And so anytime you let a group in, if you let the Latins in, then the Latins need to self-check themselves. If you let the Blacks in, Blacks need to self-check themselves. And the group of LGBT or trans needs to self-check themselves on a standard. We can't have the make it up as you go type of deal, or I feel, I think, because now you're disingenuous to the other people that are competing. So it's like if we're going to be disingenuous to the other people that are competing, then we might as well not let the other people compete at all, because we're saying, hey, look, you're coming in, we're giving space and agency for this to happen, but it all has to happen under your declaration of what you believe and what you feel. Then why have the other people even compete? That's the confusion.
You know what? I think you're absolutely right, but I think we can't get around what Art said. The people who are transitioning from men to women are just dominating, and it's not the same the other way around. There's a reason for that, and we're trying to ignore it. We're trying to act like we don't see it, but it's obvious to me. It's obvious to me. We can talk about levels. You can talk about time. You can talk about whatever you want. Men, people who are born men are going to be stronger than women, period. That's just the bottom line.
Let's take dominating off the table. We got to take dominating off the table, because that leads to the argument of those people who don't want to have the conversation.
Well, again, I mean, unless if somebody's unless if you're transitioning, I mean, it's really difficult for you to say something like that unless you're in our shoes.
That's the thing, though. I'm glad you said that.
That as a trans woman who's been transitioning for 11 years, I will tell you, there's a total difference.
I'm glad you said your shoes, because I think what everybody don't understand is your shoes, but you're not establishing a standard that everybody else can operate with.
Because I really don't care for sports like that. I mean, all I can basically say is I don't think it's an issue. However, there should be probably a limitation on are you on hormones? How long have you been transitioning? Because that does make a difference. As opposed
that's
to
not a standard. That's hyperbole.
Right.
But Jackie, even though you have been on hormones for 11 years, strength-wise, you're still stronger than a natural-born woman.
Thank you.
And that's the whole argument. It's not about.
But I don't know how y'all could say that.
Here's how, Jackie. Here's how. You don't understand sports. So here's how.
I don't have the same amount of
sports is supposed to be equal starting point.
Who's transitioning, who's been doing this for 11 years.
No, we got that.
She has. You're doing it.
We got that. That's why I didn't want strength on the table. Let's take strength off the table. Let's take domination off the table.
All right. Everybody chill. Okay, so I think the problem is
it's not the same.
Jackie, wait, Jackie, wait,
transitioning for such a long amount of time. It's not the same.
Jackie,
And the amount of strength that we have, my strength is not the same as opposed regardless of sex.
Hold on, Jackie. Hold on.
Okay, so here's the problem that I'm hearing. Jackie can only hear certain individuals. So Jackie can't hear me, and Jackie can't hear C-Lay Trey. So when C-Lay Trey is trying to go back and forth with Jackie, Jackie is continuing to talk. Because see, I'm talking and Jackie can't hear me. But if Art talks, Jackie can hear Art.
Jackie. Background.
Someone's on.
No, you know what it is.
All right. So do y'all understand that? So Jackie can't hear me. Jackie can't hear C-Lay Trey. So when I'm talking, Jackie continues to talk. But when Art talks, Jackie can hear Art. Jackie can hear Ira. But Jackie can't hear me or C-Lay Trey. So when C-Lay Trey is trying to go back and forth with Jackie, Jackie can't hear. But when Art interjects, she can hear Art. So I think that's the technical issue that's going on. Maybe Art, tell her to maybe put on headphones or something, or come back in, because other people want to talk. And that technical difficulty is kind of making it difficult to have a accurate conversation for the people who actually want to have, interjecting dialogue.
I'm letting her know right now.
No, tell her right now with your voice.
Jackie, if you can hear me, you might want to use headphones. That's what I had to do to try to, so that we can hear each other better. And if you're still having issues, try switching to headphones.
Let me just say this, and I'm gonna be quiet for a while.
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, I hear you, but I don't know about everybody else.
Yeah, see, I don't know what's going on.
Jackie, all you gotta do is turn your if you're like ice, just turn that down.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay.
Let me just say this real quick while I got a quick chance, and I'll be quiet for a while.
Yeah, go for it.
I don't believe we need to put dominating or strength
so
on the table.
So what was the question again? I didn't hear. I'm sorry.
The question is being asked right now by C-Lay Trey.
Go ahead, Project.
I have to bring up my phone. I can't hear her.
Go ahead, C-Lay Trey.
You want me to respond?
I think
okay, very, very quickly. So I think we need to take dominating and strength off the table. I think those two terms are too powerful and take us down a different rabbit hole. The strength of my discussion is the people who want agency are not being responsible on equality. We keep asking the question on this panel that I've been hearing for quite a while, even before I got on. What is the standard from the people who are coming in changing the dynamic? It has nothing to do with strength. It has nothing to do with dominating. That is true.
That's just not true.
But wait. That's just the strength of your argument. Let me give a different one. Okay, I understand the strength of your argument. You want to talk about the domination and strength. I get that. Then that's chemistry and biology. I get that. But even more so than that.
That's not a throwaway. That's not a throwaway.
Okay, sir. Can I just agree with you?
I think you're gonna have to let him finish his statement first, Project. You have to be a little bit respectful, and then you can chime in.
Yeah.
Okay. So I agree on that, but that's not getting us anywhere, because the person or people outside of even Jackie are saying they don't know, they're unsure to all of those dominating and strength points. So as long as they keep saying, I don't know, and I'm unsure, it's going to be a circular argument. So let's put it back on the people who want agency and want to disrupt the norm. What is the standard that they're going to do to make things equal for the people who are participating? And as long as they keep saying, I don't know, I'm unsure, then what are we doing? I'm going to be quiet. Go ahead, sir. You got the floor.
Well, I don't know how you can say you have to throw away strength, you have to throw away dominance. The fact of the matter is, if you were born a man, you're going to have an advantage over a person who was born a female. If you're talking about mathematics or science, then you can talk equality. But if you're talking about athletics, there is no equality. A man will always dominate, and you can't just act like that. Look, listen, put it to you this way. Does anybody think that the professional women in basketball could beat any good college men's basketball team? Does anybody believe that? Anyone here believe that? The answer is no. No one believes that.
Yes, depending on what you're playing. If you're just shooting, yes.
Oh, come on, man. Come on.
No. You ask a question. Let somebody answer. Don't shut me down. If you just sit up there and spot up shoot, there are more women who are more accurate than dudes. Now, if you want to run the lane and throw elbows,
basketball not shooting.
Then you're gonna win.
Basketball just not shooting.
I know what he's talking about though. But
no, you said
basketball is not just shooting.
See. This is what the problem with the argument, gentlemen. I understand.
No. Basketball is not just. Basketball is not. No. That's what I'm saying. Basketball is not just shooting a basketball. It's defense. It's physical. It's running. That's strength. That's power. That's not just shooting and no, it's not. Like no female athlete can box down Shaq.
No how.
No, it's not happening. That's not. We're not going to be politically correct. If you're born a man, you're a man. You're stronger. That's fact. If there was no difference, there wouldn't be. It wouldn't separate us when we were born. You know what I'm saying? If it was we are the same, it wouldn't be no gender. It would be one gender. You know,
if that weren't the case, you would see some dominance with regard to women who are transitioning to men. You would see some dominance in that area, and you don't see that.
You don't.
There's no sense in denying this. These are facts.
It's not a debate.
Well, I think that
that's a debate. Exactly.
I think that that's what he was trying to say, but I think that when he was talking more so to the trans, I don't remember her name. I think what he was saying is that when we're opening these doors for people to come into certain spaces, and we're welcoming them to come into certain spaces, at what point do they hold themselves accountable and say, hey, listen, maybe we should not walk into that room? You know what I'm saying? We should just kind of like stay in this lane.
It's never going to happen.
I think that's what he was trying to put back on them to say, okay, at what point do you all hold yourselves accountable or hold your community accountable for certain things? And what is it that you all are looking for?
Transgenders should have their own league. Transgenders should have their own league. They should not play with women.
Absolutely.
Well, I agree with that. I agree with that because I feel like at the rate we're going, women are not going to have their own identity no longer.
Exactly.
Like they're not going to have spaces where they can call their own because of men that feels like they are women and that they were born in the wrong body and that they identify as women is going to start occupying those spaces, and it's going to become even more competitive in the years to come, as long as we continue to allow it and not try and see how can we come to some form of resolve. They should not be sharing the same bathrooms. They should not be in the same spots. They should not be competing in the same sports. Anything that is considered because women have fought so hard for equality, for certain rights, for certain aspects, and to have that taken by somebody that feels that they are a woman but have not endured what women have endured. You know what I'm saying? It's like a huge slap in the face, and the fact that America and society is allowing that.
No, women are allowing this. Women are allowing this.
It's not women that are allowing it. It's society, because first and foremost, men it's men that feels that they are women, right? So men are the ones that's controlling. Men are the ones that's controlling this whole dynamics.
Was it you?
I disagree with that. But
Can I just say something really quickly? Can I just say something really quickly? I just want to say something really quickly here. My thing is the issue that I'm having here. I'm lovely JD, whatever you guys want to say, whatever. I'm not. I'm a straight black woman, whatever. The thing about it is that I have a really. My thing about it is these people with POCS. These people with POCS. My sister is one of them. She's born with a higher testosterone, like male, higher testosterone, like a male, and she actually has a beard. If she doesn't go get waxed, her beard can grow out full like a man. Okay. And it's not like it's not really bad. And not only that, she has a large clitoris too. And she plays basketball and she's very dominating in basketball. And do you know that they're trying to literally get her off the team? But they have a problem with getting the women off the team, whatever they want to call themselves. That's my problem with it. How are you gonna kick? And even in some instances, I watched some videos that other YouTubers are talking about that they are kicking them off Olympic teams too from competing in the Olympics. So if you're doing this to a woman that just happens to be born with, more male things, they just happen to be born. They didn't turn themselves that way. They just happen to be born like that, and they're not even able to compete. Why is it a problem that people don't want trans people competing with regular everyday women? I don't understand that. We shouldn't even be going back and forth right now because it's the most logical thing. We know they're more overpowered than us. And it is true. I have seen some men get beat by women, you know what I'm saying? Like beat up, like really hardcore. Like, wow, like she just beat him like a nigga, like it's what people would say. But my thing about that is that some men are just really just bona fide women. Some men are. I want to say the B word, but I'm not gonna cuss. Some men are that, and that's. But if that man was not a bona fide B, he could definitely beat the shit out of that woman any day. He's just scared of her or something. That doesn't mean that trans people can compete. For me, and I'm not saying I hate trans people or anything. I just don't think it's there. Go. For me. That's all I wanted to say.
I'm gonna use your own argument. I'm gonna use your own argument, lovely. I'm 20 years in medical on the finance side, and I'm gonna say to you some things that'll shock you. There are some things that you just described that are medical and medically documented. And there are some things that people claim are medical and medically documented. So you can't get between the two. There are some humans born with penises and vaginas. There are some doctors back in the 50s who used to see a female and the parents used to make the doctor formate a penis. So there's a lot of medical things that go on that you might not be aware of, lovely. But I think as far as this discussion everybody's having on the panel, I would say this to you. Some things are documented medically and through chemistry of that particular person. And
can I respond? Can I respond to what the gentleman just said? Yeah, what percentage of
Okay, I'm gonna be quiet, sir. You go ahead.
What percentage of people in this country or in the world that are born with both genitalias? What percentage?
Go research
it's probably less. What's that?
Go research it.
Well, no, you're the doctor. I asked you.
No,
okay, because I don't have
give
the
you
research.
An answer because you rudely interrupted me. So I'm gonna give you the same energy back. Go research.
I thought we were having a conversation. I didn't.
No, we're having decorum. We're having decorum, sir.
Whoa. What Mark was talking about in the beginning, which is the whole we're going. That's why everybody's getting lost. The original conversation was from what Art's question was. Art, can you start it over again or something?
Regardless of gender or race, to compete on a global stage, how do we set the standard for taking substance in your body? Why it's okay for one athlete to take something that's foreign into their body so that they can compete, and another one that doesn't change any of their way, or maybe doesn't matter, for anything that's foreign into your body, and you're disqualified while the other one can compete. How do we get to that standard where, because if it's always changing the goalposts,
for
saying
ratings.
That, what was that?
Well, I mean, I think that is just an agenda.
More people will come out and
like
look.
how you stated before, because
exactly
it should not be allowed. So you know what I'm saying, if you're banning foreign substance for one individual, it should be banned across the board, whether you're transitioning or not. You know what I'm saying? So if you're allowing this one individual to take something to try and make them into another individual so that they can compete, then why would you try and ban this other individual that smoked something that was legal in their state, something that was legal, you know what I'm saying, legally taken? Why would you ban one, but then you allow the other person to compete? So, you know what I'm saying, I really think that it is an agenda. I really think that it is a movement that is trying to be pushed, because this is, I think, the first trans that is competing in the Olympics. You know, we have this whole huge LGBTQ, movement that's going on. The bill that Joe Biden signed into law for this Equality Act. And I think that it's just a whole movement that they're trying to push forward. So, you know, I 100% understand, your point and your perspective, and it's not fair, because if you're going to ban one, then you should ban both. And a trans should not be competing in the Olympics with women if they have to take substances to lower, their testosterone to compete.
At what point as a society do we say enough is enough?
Yeah.
At what point do we say enough is enough? At what point do we say
too late?
That's not going to happen.
No, it's not too late. It's not. No, it is not too late. It's absolutely not too late. What's going on now is bordering on ridiculousness.
You say anything against the gay community, the transgenders, or anybody, you're in trouble.
At one point, black people were 5/5 were 5/8 of a human being. So obviously that changed.
You're in trouble.
So,
well, I think that people did it.
They're passing that
people
agenda.
did it to themselves, though, because I think people did it to themselves, because I mean, you have to look at who we put into office. Who did we put into presidency? What?
Yeah, but no.
If you talk against the gay community,
what was his whole
a transgender,
nobody's looking at that.
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble. Exactly.
Let's just keep it real. Let's keep it real. It's money.
Who put money in
it has money.
People living in it. That's what it is. It's a gay world, and we're straight people living in it.
No, it's
We
not.
have everything is censored.
Let's be real.
Everything is censored because of a gay person.
Yes, but that's how you all are looking at it.
This is the most absurd.
There's rich people that are gay. There's rich people that are
a lot of rich people are gay.
They're paying for all
they're homosexual. Yes, they have lobbyists at the White House, and they have bills getting they have bills getting drawn up every day for this, and we ignore it, and it's not politics, it's money. They paint it in movies and cartoons, and they're affecting our kids.
Blackmail too. Blackmail
No, it's
too.
not. You know what? Hold on, you guys. Let's be fair. Let's be fair. Machi, it's not politics. Politics is about money. It's about what group gets together to bond with what other group and dominate the independents. The independent get the bag people will always lose because they're not connected to nobody. So that's just so Machi is actually correct.
Okay, but what you're saying is that first and foremost, that group comes together, right? That group puts money in a pot. That group is now backing some politician to put them in office to pass their laws, their rules, and what they want. So it is politics. As long as you got money and you're in the right person pockets, you can get things pushed through that you want to get through. The first piece of bill that Joe Biden signed was LGBTQ Equality Act. That was the first bill that he signed. He didn't sign anything for the Black community. He didn't sign anything.
Obama gave rights long before that. It has nothing to do with politics. I agree with that. This has been long ago. Obama been put gay rights in. All of these, you know what I'm saying? This has nothing to do with politics. This has everything to do with an agenda.
Obama started the movement, right? But Trump reversed a lot of. But Trump reversed a lot of.
May I comment?
Right, that person said it's an agenda.
It's just an agenda being put. That's the bottom line. It's an agenda. It's not about politics. It's not about anything else. It's an agenda on these kids. It's an agenda on these kids.
An agenda takes money, right?
Live life.
Yeah,